Hey there everyone, Bolding Snake here, and I decided to do something a little different to my usual content. As some of you may have guessed from my channel name, one of my favourite games of all time is the 1998 PlayStation classic Metal Gear Solid, and in 2004 they remade the game for GameCube, titled Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes. Now, the general consensus seems to be fairly split. On one side, we have fans that love it, and on the other side, hate it. So, being that I've never played it before, I decided to finally check it out to see how it holds up to the original. So, today, I played Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes. But, before we begin, let's go over a few things to help explain how I went into this. I went into it knowing that, for the most part, the story is the same, so I decided to skip the majority of cutscenes, such as heavy exposition. Although some of the action cutscenes I've decided to watch on my initial playthrough, as it's well known that these cutscenes get a little over the top, to say the least. You'll definitely see some really fucking dumb shit. My main focus was originally the gameplay, as it uses the same gameplay as Metal Gear Solid 2, and seeing that Metal Gear Solid 1 came out before Metal Gear Solid 2, who would have thought, a lot of the game was not created with these mechanics in mind, a lot of the areas, boss fights, etc. So with that being said, I won't be going over the story as much, because if you're watching this, you're most likely already a fan of Metal Gear Solid, and if you haven't played the first one, I highly recommend it. But please do keep in mind that there may be some spoilers ahead. It's also worth mentioning that I am playing this game on the Dolphin emulator, as currently it's the only way for me to play it. Now, this did come with a few graphical issues, but with a texture pack that you can find online, it helped fix the game and made it look as good as ever. If you yourself are interested in how to install and use this texture pack, I've linked a video in the description by DJP Quick Plays. They helped explain it very simple and very clear, so big thanks to DJP Quick Plays for even making this video possible. Now, onto the game. As we start the game, it is instantly apparent that the graphics have had a major overhaul similar to the look of Metal Gear Solid 2. And the same comes true with the gameplay. Our first objective is to make it past two enemies and to the elevator. I seem to have more trouble than I thought I would, as I'm not used to the GameCube controls, nor have I played Metal Gear Solid in the past few months. Also, it doesn't help that there is a puddle now underneath the first pipe that you can crawl under. So when I ended up crawling underneath the pipe, I ended up touching the water, which would have made a noise, which alerted the guards. We make it to the elevator and ride it up, where we are greeted to our main man, Solid Snake. That's right, Solid motherfucking Snake. With improved visuals. Obviously, once we emerge above ground, our next objective is to make it inside. Now, we can go about this a few ways, but I'll just go the way I normally go, but not before grabbing the chaff grenades, SOCOM pistol, and the stun grenades. We make it into the main building through the vents, where we are greeted to one of my favourite characters in this game.
My frequency is 141.80.
Could you tell? Now, for our first objective, we need to meet up with the DARPA chief. We can do that by taking the elevator down to floor B1. But before we do that, I grab the thermal goggles. As we make it to floor B1, we are tasked to enter the vents and make our way to the DARPA chief's cell, where we pass Meryl in all her GameCube graphical qualities. We then make it into the cell and talk with the DARPA chief. He then dies after a heavy info dump, and later on we not only find out why he died, but who this person really is. After this, we are freed from the cell by Meryl, and after being exposed to censored GameCube ass, we are then tasked to survive waves of enemies. After that, we watch as Meryl's ass reminds me why I love her character as she leaves. And yes, watching her ass actually has a reason behind it, we'll get to that later. We are then shown Psycho Mantis for the first time, and yes, I like to believe he talks to me when saying, "Good girl." Makes me feel special. We then head down to floor B2, the armory, as we explore the rooms that we can enter using our access card, and already it's a massive quality of life improvement. We can use the card without needing to have it equipped. We grab some grenades, some ammo, and some C4, which we use to enter a secret room that has more ammo, C4, stun grenades, and one of the new guns in this version of the game. The M9 pistol, which is needed for a non-lethal playthrough, which I'm not going to do for this playthrough, but the option is there for those who want it. And it also opens up the option for a no-kill playthrough that I'll definitely do some other time. Now, with the C4 we break into another room to then break into, well, another room that holds the first major boss fight. As we enter the room, we notice the Arms Tech president is tied up surrounded by C4. We are then shot at, and to dodge this, Snake decides to do a backflip, at least 8 feet into the air. That's right, he doesn't just move out of the way, he straight up fucking backflips. You just can't make this shit up. Right away, we are then introduced to Revolver Ocelot and his boss fight starts. Then it swiftly ends, as this is one of the many times the game didn't account for the new mechanics. You see, in the original, we have to wait for him to reload and run around to shoot him to deal damage, as shooting through the middle can hurt the arms tech president, and that's a big no-no. But in this game, we can just shoot him as he peeks out and swiftly kill him. Well, with that out the way, I can easily say this boss fight is worse in this version. In the next cutscene, we are introduced to Cyborg Ninja as he cuts off Ocelot's hand, and it is shown that the voice actor for Cyborg Ninja has been changed to Rob Paulsen, who, you may know, voiced Carl Weezer on Jimmy Neutron. And I can't help but to think just how much better it would have been if he did the Carl Weezer voice for Cyborg Ninja than whatever the fuck this is.
Who are you?
I like you. I have no name. And like you, I have no name.
Not shitting on Rob personally, just the decision to cast him. But I do find it kind of funny we went from the voice actor of Grim from The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy to the voice actor of Carl Weezer from Jimmy Neutron. Just something fun to think about when you play the original game and this game. We then talk to the Arms Tech president. We end up talking about Meryl and how to contact her. And I'm just going to let this section of the cutscene play out.
I'm sure she has it. What frequency was she at?
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you, it's... Huh? Oh, sorry. I forgot.
Damn!
Oh, that's right.
What the fuck was that? Seriously. Anyway, similar to the original game, he tells us the code is on the back of the package. Now this was one of the more memorable parts of Metal Gear Solid, where to contact Meryl you need to look at the back of the game case and find the image that has her codec frequency displayed. Now of course I'm using an emulator, so I just Google it. We contact her and she says she will open up the cargo door on floor 1. So while we wait, we pick up a cardboard box and the FAMAS, which surprises me as I don't remember being able to get it this early, at least in the original game. After that, we go to the bathroom on floor B1 and grab some ammo and a book, which I decide to use for research purposes. We then go back up to floor 1 and leave out the cargo door using the thermal goggles to see the infrared lasers as we pass by. As we enter the snowfield, we are contacted by Deep Throat, the cyborg ninja by the way, who tells us that there are mines around and to be careful. He tells us to use the mine detector, but I don't want to do that, as crawling and a pair of thermal goggles can easily take care of any and all claymores. We then continue further as we enter the second boss fight against Vulcan Raven in the M1 tank, but not before we get fucking yeeted into the cargo door. Seriously, what the fuck? So the premise of the fight on the original is to throw grenades on top to deal damage to the gunners that come out of the top of the tank to shoot us. You can also deal damage to the tank to slow it down. So now we move on to the next example of the new gameplay mechanics not being thought out, as we can just aim and shoot at the gunner. Although in all honesty, opposed to the Ocelot fight, I actually prefer this unintentional change, as I always found it annoying to throw the grenades far enough to hit the gunner. Now we can just shoot him when he pops up while still engaging in the boss fight by moving around the tank just like it was originally intended. So it's definitely not as broken as the Ocelot fight, and with that said, I say that this boss fight is better than the original. Now after beating the boss fight, we get one of the dumbest scenes I've ever laid eyes on. Are you fucking serious? Did he already pull the pin out of that? No way. No way he threw it inside the fucking tank. And he just walks away. What the fuck? That is so dumb. Holy shit. That is stupid. What? What the fuck? Oh my god. We then enter the Nuke building, and on this floor, we cannot use our firearms as the nukes will go off, so we don't have access to our weapons on this floor. This doesn't matter much as we spend very little time here as we head up to the elevator and go down to floor B1, where we grab the Nikita and some goodies. We then head down to floor B2, where we're surrounded by a gas that will deplete our oxygen and kill us. Also, the floor is electrified, because why the fuck not? So, we take care of that by using the Nikita missile launcher to, well, launch a controlled missile to blow up the power box. We then move through, picking up some more goodies including the gas mask. We are then introduced to a scene right out of a horror movie, as we witness the cyborg ninja slaughter the genome soldiers in his way. Note that in the original, we hear it, then as we investigate, we hear this odd noise and witness him killing the final soldier.
Looks like they were cut by some type of blade. It's a ghost.
While the Twin Snakes cutscene is cooler and more brutal, it also misses out on the original's fear factor by showing us rather than letting us use our imaginations. But overall, I enjoy both scenes. We are then introduced to Otacon as he pisses himself. We then get reminded how bad the casting choice for the Cyborg Ninja was as we enter the next boss fight.
I am back from a world where such words are meaningless. I've removed all obstacles. Now you and I will battle to the death.
So, in this fight, we are forced to go at it with CQC using our meat hammers to annihilate him. Nothing of note here except that both Yoshi and Mario are in this room, and instead of a PS1 on the table, there is a GameCube. Now, the fight is about the same, except for one pretty big change. In the original, as you get to the end of his health bar, he starts to break down and gains an AoE attack. We are then forced to time our attacks, as his AoE attack does a ton of damage. This is all accompanied by some pretty creepy background sounds. So, how did they ruin this, you ask? Well, they didn't even include it. Yep, that's right, they got rid of one of the best moments of this fight. While the mechanics are mostly the same, this part being taken out has me confidently believing that the original fight is far better. We end up finding out that the ninja is Gray Fox, a character from a past Metal Gear game. So from now on, I will refer to him as Gray Fox. We then talk to everyone's favourite piss baby, Otacon, as he assumes because we work alone that we ourselves must be an otaku such as himself, hence his codename.
Call me Otacon.
Otacon?
It stands for Otaku Convention. An otaku is a guy like me who likes Japanimation.
This little piss baby really is my spirit animal. Our next objective is to meet up with Meryl. So, we head up to floor B1 and find her. Now remember how I mentioned knowing how her sweet ass moves is very important? Well, that's how we find her. We watch her ass move and then we get her to see us. After she sees us, we then need to follow her to the bathroom. No, seriously, I'm not a pervert, the game wants us to do it. So I make sure to get there fast so I can get the special cutscene of her having no pants on because she couldn't change fast enough.
You're Meryl?
Anyway, after meeting up, I grab some more goodies, go to the bathroom, and then we move on to the Psycho Mantis boss fight. One of the most memorable bosses of all time for his unique mechanics. We are then greeted to a cutscene of a possessed Meryl asking us to make love to her.
Hold me, Snake.
What's wrong?
Hurry. Please, make love to me.
And while I wish this was true, sadly, this was all Mantis. She then draws her gun on us and we are tasked to incapacitate her. And luckily we have the M9, so we can just knock her out easily. we then enter the boss fight against Mantis, which is mostly just the same, although because we were emulating, I decide instead of changing the controller ports so he can't read my mind, I decide to just die a few times and destroy the statues to deal damage to him. He then makes Meryl hold a gun to her head, but we save her by knocking her out thanks to the M9. We then dispose of Mantis by blasting him away thanks to the power of guns. We then get a sad scene with Mantis talking to us, although this is broken up by Meryl straight up killing this man again.
Oh, gross.
Although overall, this scene is still goated and is one of the many reasons I love Metal Gear Solid as a whole. After the cutscene, we then move through the hidden hallway Mantis showed us by moving the bookshelf. We then enter a cave inhabited by wolf dogs, half wolf, half husky. So Meryl decides to go on without us. We then go through avoiding and knocking out the doggos as we traverse this area. We then meet up with Meryl and I decide to use an ancient big brain technique. I punch Meryl, then hide in a box so the dogs can piss on the box, therefore I have their scent every time I use the box to traverse through this area. Pretty smart, right? We then move on to the next area. We are stopped by Meryl as she mentions that there are mines around. She then proceeds to show us the way through and for us to follow her path. In the original game, we could walk straight through and be unscathed, but this game changed it a bit.
Impressed?
Well,
Yeah, so impressive, Meryl.
Only a little.
Yeah, I'm a little impressed because I can just... No, they changed it. Whoa. Ass. I mean, what? So yeah, I got fucking shit on. After that, I learnt my lesson and just crawled over the claymores to pick them up instead. We then notice a red laser. Meryl gets shot a few times and we are then tasked to grab a sniper for our next boss fight. So, in the original game, we would need to have ran back all the way to the first building and go to the armory. This is one of the 2 times the game makes us backtrack, and to be honest, it does somewhat feel like padding. But in this game, we can grab the PSG-1T, which can be found in the same room we met up with Meryl just before the Psycho Mantis boss fight. So, I grab that and some Phantasm, and then head back to the start of the Sniper Wolf boss fight. This boss fight's pretty simple. You use the sniper, have some Phantasm to stabilize your shots, and shoot Sniper Wolf until her health, or in this case, stamina, is depleted. Besides using the non-lethal sniper, this fight is the exact same and suffers no changes to its design. So yeah, nothing to really talk about. So, we continue on and get captured before entering the door after the Sniper Wolf boss fight. We then wake up on a table. After the cutscene, we are treated to a torture sequence where we must mash the action button to not let our life reach 0. Or we can surrender. This does change the ending and I'll touch on this more later. Also, compared to the Metal Gear Solid 2 version of this, I would prefer this any day of the week. Honestly, fuck that choking sequence. I almost broke my thumb doing it. Anyway, we survive this first wave of torture. We are then in a cell where we are seemingly trapped. And, well, we are. In the cell, we are accompanied by the DARPA chief, who is, well, dead, of course. But the weird thing is, he's been dead for a few days. So we end up finding out that who we talked to was actually Decoy Octopus, and not actually the DARPA chief. So there's a fun little twist. We then get put back into the torture to test our mashing fingers once more. After that, we are given the chance to escape as the guard goes to the toilet thanks to diarrhea. We can either wait under the bed, which prompts him to open our cell and look for us, which gives us a chance to run out. Or, in this case, we can wait for the little piss baby to save us, by giving us ketchup, which we can use to pretend we are bleeding out, which again makes the guard come in and check on us. We then can escape and grab our things. Now, there is another way to escape, thanks to Grey Fox. If we screw up and don't escape using the Otacon catch-up strategy, we then do another torture sequence and Grey Fox gets us out by destroying the door. After getting our stuff, we must dispose of a bomb that we have in our inventory thanks to Ocelot. We then leave the torture room and find that we are near the holding cells where the DARPA chief was. We then go up the elevator to the armory to grab some goodies including the lethal sniper, then make our way all the way back to the Sniper Wolf boss area where we finally go through the door. And that's the end of disc 1. Yes, just like Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1, this game is on 2 discs. So it gives you instructions on how to change the discs without turning off the console. And again, because we're on emulation, it's as simple as right-clicking on the second disc and clicking change disc. I totally didn't fuck up and end the emulation, instead, therefore making me go all the way back to the torture sequence where I got footage of the Grey Fox escape because I screwed up escaping by kicking the guard out of the cell, where he ended up locking me in. Anyway, that's the end of disc 1, and now we move on to the second disc. We start off Disc 2 in Communication Tower A. Just before we start ascending the tower, we trip an alarm, and must make our way up, but not before grabbing the rope, as without this, we will then have to run all the way back to grab it. And with how long it takes to go up and down these towers, I would rather not forget it. Not much to add for this part, it's pretty much identical to the original. We throw stun grenades and run past the enemies opposed to fighting them, as it's a waste of ammo. We then make it to the top, where we agree by this absolute ridiculous excuse for a cutscene. Oh, okay. Right, nice slide. What the actual fuck? What is this? Get fucked. Nah, right, that's a little bit too much. Fucking hell, they're really up to the action sequences, eh? After the cutscene, we must then rappel down the tower whilst avoiding the hind D piloted by Liquid. I luckily make it all the way down without taking any damage. Yay me. And at the end, we get Snake doing more unnecessary backflips. We then take out a few enemies and pick up the Stinger before making it to Communication Tower B, where we then proceed downstairs only to realise partway down the stairs are destroyed. We then move back upstairs and find Otacon next to the elevator. After the cutscene, we then proceed to head upstairs where we must use chaff grenades to make it up, as machine gun cameras are all over the place. And yes, it is as annoying as it sounds. We then make it to the top, where we grab some goodies and then proceed to our next boss fight. So, just like the original, we have to evade the Hind D's attacks as we use the Stinger missiles to deal damage. This is pretty simple and just like the original, so no complaints here. After that, we're shown probably the dumbest cutscene I've ever witnessed, and compared to the rest of the game's cutscenes thus far, that's really saying something.
Down! Eat this!
I'm not hungry, thanks. I'm surprised they didn't just fucking jump off of it. Oh my god, you're fucking joking. Oh, get fucked. Don't shoot him with it. Don't shoot him with the rocket. This is the dumbest, most fun piece of shit I've played. This is great. I love it for just how, like, over the top it is. For no reason.
See you in hell, Liquid.
You're fucking joking.
That takes care of the cremation.
Oh my god. Yep, this will live in my head rent-free for all eternity. After the boss fight, we then must head all the way down to the elevator, where we then get on, but it appears we're not alone, as Otacon informs us that the other stealth suits have been taken, and then we find out that 4 others are on this elevator with us. We then proceed to take them out and continue all the way down. We then go outside where we agreed to our rematch with Sniper Wolf. And again, just as the first fight, this is the same as the original game, so nothing much to really speak about here. We shoot her until we drain her stamina bar, and then we're treated to a cutscene that I won't talk about because you really should play Metal Gear Solid. And I can't really relay just how good these cutscenes are. We then go around to the storage sheds and grab some goodies before we move on. We then enter the blast furnace, attack out a guard, and then I attempt to go the normal way. But, unknowingly, I missed a guard, and, well, I died. I then realise I can hang off the rail at the start and just drop down. I then grab the body armour and proceed through the area as normal. We then go down the cargo elevator, where we are ambushed by more enemies. But fear not, as they pose no threat to me. We then get off the elevator, and then hop on another elevator, to get even further down. But, instead of enemies, we are greeted by ravens as we approach the next boss fight. We enter the warehouse and meet back up with our old friend Vulcan Raven in one of my favourite boss fights. Sadly, I won't be speaking too much on this fight as it is identical to the original. As per usual, we use our large array of weapons and gear to take on Vulcan Raven, and so I decide on using both Claymores and Nikita missiles, so nothing really special. Rest in peace to our boy Vulcan Raven, man. Gone too soon. We proceed onward, past a few guards and cameras. We then lay eyes on Metal Gear Rex for the first time, and we have plenty of time to look at it as we go up the many stairs to make it to the control room where we eavesdrop on Ocelot and Liquid. We then find out about the power key really being 3 keys in one, and then Ocelot spots us and shoots us in ultra cool slow motion, which causes us to drop the power key into the drainage ditch. To recover the power key, we must run all the way down to find it. I look around for it in the water, and oh no, I picked up a time bomb. I don't get rid of it because Miller calls us and tells us a rat must have eaten it, and I completely forgot I had it. I know, I was tired, okay? After blowing up, I then go all the way back down, disposing of the bomb this time, and find the rat. I attempt to not kill it and to trank it, but sadly I must murder this poor innocent rat, rendering any passive playthrough impossible. Rest in peace, little rat fella, rest in peace. We then make it back to the control room, where I get caught by the cameras and die thanks to a deadly gas. After dying, I then enter the room temperature power key. Now we have to backtrack to the blast furnace and the warehouse that we fought Vulcan at. Admittedly, this is my least favourite part of the game. There's nothing to even talk about besides that there's a few enemies in the warehouse. So we run all the way to the warehouse, wait a few years, get the power key cold, run all the way back to the control room, enter the key, then run all the way back to the blast furnace, wait what feels like an eternity, then run all the way back to the control room and enter the hot power key. Fuck this part of the game, it's tedious and just not fun, and that goes for the original too. Still love the game, but hate the backtracking. After putting the power key in all the computers in the hopes to shut down the Metal Gear, we are introduced to the greatest twist in gaming history. Seriously, play the game if you haven't. So, after finding out that Miller was Liquid this whole time as he informs us we just activated the Metal Gear, opposed to stopping it, we then run out of the control room to confront Liquid as he enters Rex. Then we're tasked to fight him. The fight itself is the same as the original. We use chaff grenades and the Stinger missile to take out the Metal Gear. After the first phase, Grey Fox comes in to distract Liquid after he sacrifices himself. Rest in peace, man. Rest in peace. We then enter phase 2 of this boss fight, where it's pretty much the exact same as phase 1, except that Liquid is now exposed and we can deal damage to him directly. Fun fact, did you know you could use the sniper to deal damage to Liquid during this phase? After taking out Liquid and Rex, we find that Liquid is still alive and we get another great informative cutscene, as Liquid explains a few story points to us as well as showing us he captured our queen and goddess, Meryl. Due to his crimes against such a fine female specimen such as Meryl, we must then fight him while on top of what remains of Metal Gear Rex. Like the original, the fight's the same, although it did feel somewhat easier as I didn't struggle as much as I did in the original. We punch and kick Liquid as fast as we can, as we're on a timer thanks to the bomb Liquid has placed next to Milady. We then take him out by throwing him off Metal Gear Rex. We then save Meryl and make our escape. Now, as I stated earlier, this is one of 2 possible endings. Because we pass the torture sequence, we escape with Meryl, which rewards us with the infinite bandana, whereas, if we were to surrender and give up, then we escape with Otacon, which gives us the stealth suit. But, cause I ain't no bitch, I pass the torture and continue to make it out with Meryl. We hop in a car, and I am tasked to shoot the enemies as we make our escape, as well as needing to blow up a few checkpoints we need to pass. We are then chased by Liquid, as we fight him for a 4th time now. This time, however, we just blast him until we make it out of the tunnel, where we are then greeted with the final cutscene, where Liquid dies due to Fox die. Something I haven't bothered mentioning, as I think you should play this for yourselves, if you haven't already. After the credits, we get another awesome twist setting up Metal Gear Solid 2. And there you have it. That was Metal Gear Solid, the Twin Snakes, for the GameCube. Now, before we finish up this video, let's talk about the extras. After finishing the game, we unlock the dog tag viewer, where I only have one. Liquids. So not too interesting, although it's there if you want it. But the best thing we unlock after the game is the boss survival mode, where we must beat all of the bosses in the game back to back with what I believe to be 1 life. I haven't played this much, so I'm unsure. Really cool feature. Now you're probably wondering, where are the VR missions? Well, as far as I know, they don't have them. So I want to ask you, do you think that the boss survival mode is a good stand-in for our VR missions? Honestly, I like both and kind of wish we had both, but in the end, I'm fine with what we have. With that all said and done, how do I feel about the Twin Snakes? Well, to be honest, I liked it, although I still prefer the original. So, would I play this over and over again? Probably not, but I will definitely play it some more as there is some replayability in this game. Although that was true for the original game as well, but in the end I think I just overall prefer the original. This game had way too many over-the-top moments that, while funny, are also just kinda dumb. Some voice actors were replaced, and I believe the soundtrack has some changes too, don't quote me on that. So to me the clear winner is the original, although that won't stop me from playing the Twin Snakes in the future. So, do I believe the game deserves all the hate it gets? Probably not to this extent, but I also don't understand all the love for this game specifically. That's just me though. Personally, I prefer the original. Maybe that's just nostalgia, who knows. And when it comes to Metal Gear Solid 2 versus the Twin Snakes, I think I prefer Metal Gear Solid 2 over the Twin Snakes, as it's just a continuation of the Metal Gear Solid 1 story, and I don't feel like the Twin Snakes was really needed. Although in saying that, there is a theory that the Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes video game is actually the VR missions that Raiden took before Metal Gear Solid 2. While that's just a theory, that would also make sense as to why it's so much more action-packed, as it's a retelling of events, and that's how the theory usually goes, but I would love to hear your thoughts on that. And with all that said and done, that was my little mini review of Metal Gear Solid the Twin Snakes. So hey, yeah, it's me, post-editing me, I suppose, or current editing. I'm not really sure what to say. This is, unscripted me, yeah, who would have thought? Yeah, this is a very new video for me, a new video type, and if I'm honest, I actually really enjoyed recording it and writing the script and recording it, if that makes sense, recording the voice lines and editing it all. It's a really fun experience, and I think personally I'm going to be doing this a lot more. Now, in my head, I really want to do at least one of these type of videos a month, but personally, there's been a lot of things happening lately in my life that I'm not going to go into, and they may cause distractions that keep me away from doing this type of thing. But I'm still going to be working on it in the background, and I'll be able to get them out as soon as I can, hopefully. So hopefully it's once a month. Maybe I'll do some stuff in the middle. I don't know. As for indie horror games, honestly, I'm just burnt out. I just am kind of sick of downloading and playing short indie horror games that just may be shit and I can't even make a video out of. There's so many that I've played now that just I haven't even been able to make a full video about because they're just so kind of bad. They're just bad. They either don't work or they, are just terrible. And there's nothing to talk about. So it's like, well, what can I do? So I decided to work on this video because I had it for a long time. I actually wanted to do it with another game, playing that for the first time, and then there was another game I had in mind that I want to play, for the first time. So I definitely do have ideas for these type of longer videos, and I've got some interesting ideas coming up. Some that I think seem more just something I just want to do more. The indie horror games, I'm kind of like burnt out from. If something good comes out, yeah, I'll do that. But I mean, there's just so much shit. There's so much shit out there, and I'm not digging through piles of shit for specks of gold, There'll still be a few here I'll play here and there that actually seem good, and if the video comes out well, then I'll release it. But I'm sick of releasing bad games that I can't make decent content out of. Even when I'm making fun of the game, it sometimes makes it really hard, for me to, make a good video out of that. When it comes to, big releases of horror games, such as the Fatal Frame series, I'm definitely going to be playing through at least the first 3 games of that. The same can be said about, Silent Hill. I plan to play Silent Hill 2, 3, and 4 in the future, definitely. They probably won't be in the style of this. I'll probably most likely do a full playthrough. Or maybe I'll just do both. Maybe I'll do a long video and then do a full playthrough so you guys can watch the full playthrough or watch the half an hour to an hour long video about it. Funny enough, I actually thought this video was going to be close to an hour, and I was panicking, oh no, it's going to be longer than an hour. I'm looking at it now, and I have all the voice lines recorded, and right now it's a little over half an hour. once I'm finishing editing it, I'm sure it's going to be around 40 minutes, maybe less, who knows. But yeah, my guess would be around 40-ish minutes. We'll see. You guys will know, obviously, because you're watching it now. I don't really know what to say, to be honest. I hope you guys did enjoy. I really do. It took me so long to do this. It took me many, many hours to actually work on. It's unbelievable how long I spent on this. And it's something I enjoyed personally. And if I can find people out there that enjoyed it as well, that's a big up for me. If no one enjoyed it, well, that sucks, I guess, but I'm still going to do it because I still enjoy this type of content. I guess I should do the standard, if you liked it, leave a like, dislike, leave a dislike. Well, yeah, if you did like, leave a like. If you dislike, leave a dislike. Subscribe if you want to see more content, hopefully more like this, or more of my whatever content, I guess. But if you want to see more of this, definitely subscribe. Leave a comment, letting me know what you think about this. If you want to see more of this, or if you have any recommendations for games that would be interesting, I guess. As for the rest of the Metal Gear Solid franchise, I wouldn't mind playing through Metal Gear Solid 1 sometime, just for fun. But of course, I've already played Metal Gear Solid 1 a bit, so it's not going to be as reactionary. It's just going to be fun. But I'll think of something to do with that. And as for the rest of the Metal Gear games, I'm probably not going to play the original Metal Gear series because it's just a little bit too old for me to really sink my teeth into. I don't mind old games, but something like that, it's a bit too old for me personally. But maybe if I have popular requests, maybe I'll do it. When it comes to Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, I'm not against doing the videos for that. Obviously, I love Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3. Admittedly, I haven't actually gotten around to finishing. I know what happens in it, but I just haven't gotten around to finishing it. I got a bit into it, and then I got burnt out by playing Metal Gear too much, and then I just stopped. So maybe I'll do a video on that, who knows. As for Metal Gear Solid 4, well, look, it's, still only on PS3. While I love it, I'm just not going to be able to do a video on it because I don't really want to set up recording on PS3. Not yet, anyway. As for Metal Gear Solid 5, Ground Zeroes and Phantom Pain, maybe I'll do a video on those. I don't really want to, but because they feel really long because of the open world. I say that with brackets because it's more like tunnels with things in the way. It's alright. I mean, it's still open world, but it could have been done a lot better, I think. But I still enjoy Metal Gear Solid 5 for what it is. But yeah, I don't really want to have to sit there and record that because it's so long compared to the other games. This one's like one of the shorter ones, and the same with the first Metal Gear Solid game. It's just they're both short games, under 5 hours if you skip most of the cutscenes. The other games are just really long. So, excuse me if I don't play the rest of those in this type. I do have a few games on the top of my head right now that I'm thinking of starting next. Some that you may be surprised I've never even touched the series of. And some that are a bit obscure. Maybe some certain games that I can't play because I can't understand the language. I'm trying not to give too much away. I don't think it really matters. But hey, I hope you guys hopefully look forward to that. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is a long outro. I'm just going to leave it there. Under 10 minutes. It is what it is. And I'll see you guys in the next video I make. Bye. And thank you to everyone watching this. Means heaps.